Okay, project for today is I'm going to be working with my battery system here a little bit. We're going to replace our very old 1000 watt inverter with a newer Xantrex 1500 watt inverter that maxes out at 3000 watts. So we're going to remove that one, and I will give you a little bit of detailed information about my setup at the same time. Okay, so you may wonder why I'm replacing a 1000 watt inverter with only a 1500 watt inverter. Well, this is why. If you look here, this one only runs 800 watts continuous, 1000 watts maximum. So it's not big enough to power some of the electrical appliances we want to deal with. So we switch over to this Xantrex 1500 watts, 3000 watt surge, and it can be controlled by a remote. It may put inside the trailer. Got two GFI outlets on it. A little bit different size, two fans, a little longer, so mounting's going to be a little bit of an issue here. We'll have to take a look at that, and we'll get her installed. Let's take a look. Okay, the new power inverter is installed. We went from an 800 watt continuous 1000 watt max to a 1500 watt continuous 3000 watt max from Xantrex. Not much had to be changed. My cable up here on the top was still the original one. I just had to add a fitting on the end, or a clamp on the end, and also on the positive or negative I shortened that up a little bit. Quick word here about my system though. I am running US batteries, 4 6-volt batteries running series parallel. I have 464 amp hours of battery life. This is our Boondocker charger, which is solely for keeping our batteries charged, either off of our generator or when we're at home here. I did not remove my batteries this year for the winter. I just kept a charger on them. It trickles charges most of the time. As you can see, we're setting at 14.8 volts. And this charger charges the amount of power that is needed to be used by our deep cycle batteries, where our house inverter does not. As you can see, the power comes out, goes to the on-off switch here, comes over to this catastrophic fuse. All the hot power comes off of here. Battery charger comes into it. The solar charger, which we don't have any solar panels on the roof yet, we're just using portables off of this one and this one. Solar power comes in, goes through the breaker, comes down, goes to the fuse here, comes over, charges our batteries. This is where we tie in most of our positive power to. As you can see, it comes up here, goes up to this on-off switch, then over to an 80 amp breaker. We're going to have to increase that 80 amp for this larger inverter. Our negative comes into this bar, and all of our negative wires run off of it for whatever we're needing. This is a I'm drawing a blank here at the moment. This is part of our setup for our trimetric battery monitor. It's a 500 amp shunt is what it is, and as you can see, we got stuff tied into it. It will register our battery power for what's coming out of our batteries, also what's coming out of this 30 amp charger, and it registers what is coming off the Renogy charger. So if we need to, we can turn off the batteries, isolate the batteries from the rest of the system, or we can isolate the solar charger simply by hitting the button there. We can also turn off our inverter, power to it, or just hit this bus bar here. As you can see, the light is on over here, and it will go off. Now it's off. You turn it back on simply by doing that. We're going to turn our inverter off for now. one of the reasons why we changed to this inverter is I can also have a remote with it. I'm not going to install that today. That's going to have to wait until we put our slide out because I need access to that cabinet. But this is our system. It works really great. I'll give credit here to Ray at Love Your RV. He was the one that had the system set up on his, a similar system anyway, and I took his idea and ran with it and made a few changes to something I like. As you can see, the Renogy charger down here comes over to this outside Furion plug-in, which we were running 2 remote solar panels off of that on our last camping trip. And then I've got wires running from this trimetric solar charger that come down, go out through this vent here, and run outside. And I can run 2 more 100 watters there, so I can run 400 watts off of the system. And we still haven't mounted anything on the roof yet. I plan on mounting 500 on the roof. So, just a quick overview of our system. Hope you enjoy the video. One last quick word. If you're going to be doing this kind of stuff, I would suggest that you get yourself a set of cutters for cutting your heavy cable. I cut almost all the heavy cable with these, except for the very biggest ones, which I use bolt cutters. And I bought this set of crimpers that are adjustable. You can turn these little dills here, which will adjust the size of the crimp simply by pushing down on the button. Very handy tool to have if you're going to be doing this kind of stuff. I would suggest you buy it instead of buying the store-bought length cables, because then you can go ahead and have your cables at the proper length. You're going to need all different sizes of cables. As you can see here, this is some fairly heavy cable, heaviest cable I could get at Napa. I used it wherever I could. Other places you just need to be able to bend the wire, and this is plenty big enough for the 30 amp. This here is welding cable. It bends really well, and it is large enough to handle what I'm doing. Here I didn't even need this biggest stuff for the negative, but I went as heavy as I could. So just a word on that. If you're going to do this, get yourself a set of cutters and a set of crimpers.